So, at the end of a 20-16 win against the Browns, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni is seen yelling at the crowd, and it looks like he's talking trash to some fans. I get that tensions are rising in a game. Fans say some questionable things. They generally don't expect any pushback, but Sirianni needs to be professional. He's the head coach of an NFL team. There needs to be some class there. Emotion is fine on the sidelines, but you barely beat the Browns, a team which is, in my opinion, the worst in the NFL. Plus, and I haven't even mentioned this yet, the Eagles were home. He was yelling at his own fans. Listen, if you beat the Chiefs in their home territory and you see Jackson Mahomes on the sidelines, absolutely, start screaming at him. I support that. But the supposed fan who got into it with Sirianni took to Facebook and explained the alleged exchange and added some context. First play of the game, Barkley ran for 5 yards. The offense, however, elected to throw the ball in the next 2 downs, resulting in incomplete passes and eventually a punt. The fan yelled out, "If your star running back gets 5 yards on first down, you give it to him again. Run the ball. Run the ball." Sirianni gestured to the fan to calm down, and later in the game, Nick went back over to the area, and that's when the camera caught him pointing and yelling, saying, "I told you we would run. I told you." Now, everyone knows you can't lie on the internet, so this was definitely the real interaction. Bit of sarcasm there. I mean, who knows? But either way, why are you getting into it with your home crowd on the first drive of the game and also at the end? It's clown behavior, and it's getting harder and harder to take Sirianni seriously as a head coach. He's always been a charismatic individual, but I don't know if his antics are helping the team or hurting them. Let's rewind back to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. During a booth review, the broadcast caught Sirianni being silly, toying with QB Jalen Hurts, putting his hand above Hurts' head as they await the call on a crucial conversion trying to score in half. Hurts, being a professional, just stares at him and knocks his hand down. I get you want your team to have fun, but this is probably time to be serious. It's the Super Bowl and you're acting like a child. The Eagles would end up scoring on the drive before half, but of course, would end up losing to the Chiefs in the Kelsey Bowl. I think Sirianni should start worrying about how his team is playing and should control the things he can control as a head coach. The Eagles are struggling this season and really have been for almost a year. Last year, after starting 10-1 and looking like Super Bowl contenders again, they went on a slide, losing 5 of the final 6, then getting stomped by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs 32-9. Sirianni would change offensive coordinators this season, hiring Kellen Moore, former Cowboys and Chargers OC, that's offensive coordinator, not original character, and Vic Fangio, former Broncos head coach and longtime NFL defensive coordinator. Sitting at 3-2, the Eagles obviously have a winning record, but I don't think anyone is really afraid to play the Eagles right now. When you only just barely won against the Browns, how could you be? The offense looks flat. What should be an explosive group is not playing up nearly to the level it needs to. It's hard to look at the team on paper to see Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and A.J. Brown, and to see that group barely scoring enough to beat a team as dysfunctional as Cleveland. I get that the team has had injuries at key positions with Brown, Smith, Dallas Goedert, and players on the O-line missing some time, but this is football. You have to expect injuries. Everyone is banged up. Look at the Bills. Sirianni, with his offensive background, seems to still have his fingerprints all over this team, especially on the offensive side, and it seems like he's still calling the same old plays that the team struggled with last year. Kellen Moore might be a sacrificial lamb here. And in reality, it's going to be tough winning games, and this stat is fucking insane, when you haven't scored a point on offense in the first quarter through the first 5 games of the season. You heard that right. 0 points in the first quarter, the first time in NFL history this has happened to open a season. This stat is wild. In comparison, the Vikings average 9.6 points a game in the first quarter, while the Buccaneers are second with 8.8 points. Starting fast is important. Helps to get a lead in the game, and it gives an opportunity to open up play calling when you rattle off a few successful plays. If I were running this team, I would be feeding the ball to Saquon and A.J. Brown, who are both top 5 at their positions, alongside the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, as much as possible. These guys are too talented. They need the opportunity to get involved and to make plays. Defensively, the Eagles rank in the middle of the pack in yards and points against. The secondary is young, with 2 rookies starting, and it's going to take some time for that to develop. Takeaways have been the main issue for the defense, and they've struggled to give the ball back to their offense, which honestly just compounds the issues we talked about earlier. They rank dead last in the NFL for takeaways with only 2 through 5 games, so they're tied with the Raiders in last place. Maybe scoring a couple of points in the first would help take some of the heat off the defense, allowing more blitzes and just reckless play calling. All of that sort of sees the back burner when you're trying to come back from a deficit. Of every team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles would be one of the hardest to coach due purely to media presence. Philly is a city with what we're going to call passionate fans who aren't afraid to speak their mind. We see this in football, we see this in hockey, we see this in basketball, every sport. You definitely need somebody who can give it back like Sirianni, and I enjoy his charisma, I really do, but it needs to stay a little more under wraps when dealing with the crowd, and the team needs to focus on just running properly right now because clearly something within the Philadelphia Eagles is not quite right. The good thing for the Eagles is I look at their schedule and I see upcoming games against the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. The Eagles have an opportunity to rack up some wins and can hopefully get their offensive identity back. If they struggle and lose 2 to 3 of these games I just mentioned, I expect to hear Sirianni's name on the hot seat once again. With the emergence of the Commanders and how well the NFC North is playing, the Eagles could very quickly see themselves on the outside looking in come playoff time. One fun storyline coming up is Saquon Barkley taking on the Giants week 7, and this will be another great look at how teams should deal with emotional moments and how to keep things together when, well, there's the opportunity to dive into shenanigans. Saquon Barkley, for those who don't remember, claimed that he wanted to be a Giant for life and then left to join the Philadelphia Eagles as a free agent. Tiki Barber famously said, "You're dead to us, Saquon," and fans have, I think, echoed that sentiment. Week 7 will be Saquon's first game at MetLife since leaving for the Eagles, and I'm personally really curious to see how the reaction is, but let me know your reaction. The Giants did play the Browns week 1. They won 21-15. Right now, the Eagles are 3-point favorites, and they're my pick in the game, but I think this is going to be one fans need to watch. Anyway, let me know all of your thoughts on Saquon, Nick Sirianni, and what you'd like to see us cover next in one of these longer 8-minute videos. Guys, thank you so much for the support. In the past month, we've picked up over 5,000 subscribers, which is just so awesome. Still, only about 3% of you who watch are subscribed, so if you haven't already, please click the button, click the bell. It helps us put out fewer news videos and more analysis, trade, the less sexy stuff that I think is honestly, at the end of the day, the better content. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, and if you want more content, there's a new basketball, football, and hockey video on screen right now. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.